Hello, I'm Kurt Lidke, Executive Director of Klamath Film, and you just watched Isolated in our Southern Shorts category for the Klamath Independent Film Festival. Joining us now is the director of this film, Martin Hilligoss. Thank you so much for taking some time out to join us.
Thank you for having me.
So, when we were programming this year's Klamath Independent Film Festival and debating the merits of film submissions, Isolated fell into a very interesting and weird category for our judges. We weren't totally sure what to make of this film at first. Uh, but some of our judges decided, and we kind of came to the conclusion that this was the kind of film that we really needed right now. You know, amidst a global pandemic and all the horrors of 2020 that have come, and every day feels like another body blow, uppercut at times. This film is kind of a palate cleanser. It's kind of a breather that sort of lets you address what's going on, but look at it from a different perspective of, life can still go on. What was your intention with the film as far as addressing the pandemic, but not depressing people more than we're already having to deal with it the whole year?
Well, hopefully it wasn't too depressing, but I was inspired to do something about the pandemic, but I didn't want it to be just like another virus film or something like that. And so I wanted to sort of utilize my own feelings and a lot of the people that I've been talking to, which is just about the isolation that we're feeling. And it's like the dangers of the virus are so real, and all of these other things that are talked about are so real. But what's not being talked about too much is like the individual effect on the people who are just dealing with their own isolation, but also the people who were already dealing with their own isolation, and then this was put on top of them. And so I really wanted to touch on that, and then to use a dog as a potential companion in that fight.
The film has a very zen-like quality to it, from the sparse music and the camera movements to total lack of dialogue except for the radio that plays throughout. It's very slow and very calming in its approach, which I liked. So since you have another film in this year's festival, The Caretaker, and that's a horror film, I kept thinking that you were setting us up with some sort of calm mood for a big scare reveal, like Friday the 13th culmination, where and you have the whole canoe thing, so you're out on the lake anyway. I kept expecting like Jason to pop out and like take the dog underwater or something. Uh, since you used the same location for the two films, had you considered somehow linking them together, or was that just kind of fortuitous of having a great location?
It was just having the great location. I wanted to not turn it into a horror movie, actually. But there's a pretty good combination film there that you just described. Actually, that's pretty funny.
You could very easily somehow turn the creature from the caretaker into somehow taking the dog.
Yeah,
Where it's all, oh, you have 10 minutes of very calm, relaxing, all of a sudden just
yeah.
throwing it
Last
all of a
30
sudden.
seconds. Yeah.
The cinematography in this film is absolutely beautiful. I really, in particular, love the drone shots that you use. I'm partial to that because I'm a commercial drone pilot myself. Um, but it's both films have really nice drone work, and it helps really set the tone for the calm mood that your film presents. Do you do your own film work, or is there a team behind getting all of these incredible shots?
It's my team is me and my good friend Taylor, and it's his drone, and he's been working for a while, getting the photography down, and he's getting to be a really skilled pilot. And so it's just us two, and I'm sitting there on the monitor, and he's flying it, and I've got some good ideas, but a lot of it is Taylor. Yeah.
Well, and then the other shots throughout the film, you use some really interesting camera movement, and also a lot of just static shots to set kind of the calm tone. What did you use for all of your cinematography in the film?
There's a little bit of the Ronin gimbal with the A6300 as well as with the Sony A7S II. And then there's actually more drone shots in it than you might think. And me and Taylor for a while have talked about drones sort of get a bad rap depending on how you use them, and to look at the drone more like an aerial camera than like a drone. And so if you think of it that way, it really lets you it's like a crane mixed with a gimbal. It's like this really interesting opportunity for camera movement and things that you don't see too often. Um, and then that juxtaposed with the locked off shots of sort of isolation, as well as the aspect ratio of the 1:6:6, just let me frame, sort of center frame things in a sort of off kilter, off putting way.
Some of the drone shots don't necessarily feel like drone shots. So I get to what you're saying there. Particularly some of the shots on the lake with the canoe
Mm,
look really beautiful and really fluid in their movement, where it does look like it was a crane on
mhm,
the shore. But then I'm thinking, well, that would be a really long crane to have to get that
right.
shot. So, what was the motivation behind making a film that, in so many ways, is the complete antithesis to 2020?
Well, when I was making this, a lot of the feeling out there was that this is going to go away soon, magically. And so sort of my feeling here is that even even though at this time cases were going down, it's like it's too soon to get out of this. And that's why at the end he's driving back, things are looking better, he's going to head back into town, but the radio is actually not saying that. And so I was very, I mean, in some ways fortunate, unfortunately, that this would come out at a time that that did happen, and then the cases spiked because we came back too soon. And so it was a little bit of a warning, I guess, to say let's not get too excited here because this is here to stay for a while, which I know is kind of depressing, but
Well, there are some life lessons to take away from your film, though, because it does show that, um, in a way, this film is very meditative, and it's almost like a healthy way of self-medication to cope with difficult times. So, how do you want people to take away something from your film?
yeah, I would like it to be meditative, and that's was a lot of the intent with it. In that, it's like let's just slow down and think about what we have. Um, in this particular character's, he's very fortunate to have a lake house that he can escape to. So this is um, it's a very fortunate situation for this character, and I understand that. And unfortunately, most people don't have a place like this that they can escape to, which makes this I don't know, makes it something. But the music is played on my parents' old piano, which has not been tuned in a long time.
Ah, okay.
And I've been playing around with those chords for a while, and I was trying to figure out a way to use an out of tune piano to sort of set the tone for 2020, which is that things are a little out of tune. And so whether that totally comes off or not, I do think people will feel like something's a little off about this piano. But in the slow, repetitive nature of it, I do want it to be meditative, and I want it to, feel like something we can just sort of calm our breathing down with and relax. The cinematic side to it, though, is that there's a lot more horror underneath.
Hmm. Well, as filmmakers, it's really easy to get caught up in trying to tell as compelling of a story as possible with all these elements kind of thrown in. And your film is kind of the polar opposite of that. And I like that it takes it easy. It doesn't try to throw everything at the screen. It doesn't try to have pages and pages of dialogue or effects or anything else. It's just enjoy the ambiance,
Right.
and enjoy the mood, enjoy the setting, slow down your breathing, just kind of be calm and relax. So, were there any lessons learned from a filmmaker perspective in making Isolated that can teach you going forward that, it's so easy to want to throw in all these transitions or all of these effects or you get this, and you don't have to do that to still tell a compelling story. It can be very simple and basic in its structure and still come across well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important to have moments like that, the calm before the storm. So in a genre film or a more typical film, it's like you still need these type of moments to build to the escalating climaxes or to sandwich other moments, because otherwise it's too much tension to bring you forward like that. And I think not often enough do filmmakers just sort of take a step back. Let's just hold on this shot for 10 seconds, walk, and it's also about experiencing time with the character. And that's what you get when you don't edit too much is the ellipses of time goes away. And so I think for me, I learned that I want to take a lot of these moments and sort of apply them to more traditional screenwriting. Um,
Mhm.
and it's all about contrast as well, and not just of the cinematography, but of the storytelling. So, and I just love locked up camera shots because it makes me feel like it's like you're taking a picture, but it's this magic because it moves. It's like the original motion picture in a way.
Was the making of this film therapeutic for yourself? Because watching it gives that vibe of them when 2020 just feels like one blow after another. Was making it in itself a chance to kind of step away and reset amidst all of the world's chaos? I know that's the story you were trying to convey, but then the
Right.
production itself, was that also the experience?
Yeah, it actually was. I haven't really thought about that too much, but it definitely was, especially in the editing of it, just because I got a lot more footage than what is in the film. And so it was meditative to cut through it all. It sort of felt like I was cutting a documentary or something in a way, because I'd say half of it was very deliberately, this is the moment in the script and we're here right now because of that. But I'd say the rest of it was sort of the moments and then capturing it in as many ways as possible and kind of figuring out what would work the best and how I could get it down to 10 minutes. And that was actually really therapeutic. Um, yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that. I guess I haven't really thought about that too much, but especially with the music as well, it was a very relaxing time. I think it was good for me to make this film because it let me take some of my feelings and put it into some art that hopefully somebody enjoyed.
Any final thoughts regarding your film Isolated that you would like people to know?
I'm very appreciative of everybody at the festival who's watching it, and I hope that we can have empathy for everybody and what we're all going through during this pandemic. And I hope we can have empathy for those who have less than we do. And this time is very hard, especially for people dealing with mental health and who already feel isolated. So I hope that this wasn't too depressing. And I hope that we can stay optimistic. And I think it's great that we have this festival and the community here to get behind. So thank you.
Well, and thank you, Martin, for the film. And in addition to being available online all weekend long via Eventive, people can catch Isolated in person at the Ross Raglan Theater here in Klamath Falls on Sunday, September 20th, in our Long Short Stories program around 3 p.m. for the 8th Annual Klamath Independent Film Festival. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.